Hey guys, welcome back to Andrew Invests. This week I thought it would be remiss of me not to talk about Threads and Meta. After all, it's an ongoing situation. Twitter has just served legal papers to Meta and nobody knows whether the cage fight is still happening. So today I wanted to talk about my thoughts, my first impressions on Threads, how I think it will impact the stock price, and a bit about the rivalry between Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. In addition to that, there was some news on Friday that China has finally decided to fine Alibaba for its Ant IPO and close the book on its investigation into the company. That was really bullish for the stock price, and I wanted to give some thoughts on that as well as some of their generative AI. There's a saying that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and judging by that, Mark Zuckerberg has a healthy amount of admiration for Elon Musk. But you wouldn't be able to tell that from all of the smack talk on social media. When Elon Musk first bought Twitter, he cut 80% of all of the existing jobs and also had a huge amount of spending reductions. I genuinely believe that Zuckerberg took a huge amount of inspiration from that, and that's what led him to launch the efficiency drive at Meta, which has been credited with the surge in the stock price this year. But with the launch of Threads, he's taking the flattery to the next level. Does he want to fight Elon Musk or kiss him? Ultimately, I did not expect the Threads app to come out this quickly, even though it was announced a few weeks ago. And what are my first impressions on it? Let's do a quick side-by-side comparison of the same account on both Threads and Twitter. This is Joseph Carlson. Scrolling down, it is very, very similar. It's slightly more sleek, less tabs, and all of the controls are very intuitive to use as they're the same as Instagram. It's very easy to like a tweet, and overall, I'm pretty impressed. Threads has already hit 60 million users in the space of a few days, and I think that really highlights one of Meta's key strengths, the ability to push out a product to its billions of users in a very short amount of time. It's done that for multiple apps in the past, and it could potentially do that for Threads as well. One of the key advantages I did actually notice on that side-by-side was the lack of ads on Threads. Twitter has a plethora of ads now, especially since Musk has taken over, as he tries to make the app profitable. But it's unquestionable that does make the user experience slightly worse. With Zuckerberg going on the record as saying that he wouldn't try to make the app profitable until it hits a billion users, I think that could be a really key tempting factor for people to use Threads instead of Twitter. But I do hope that he does reconsider that as Twitter has far fewer users than 1 billion, and shareholders won't get any kind of benefit until the app is monetized. It's really important to remember as a shareholder that when Meta is releasing this new product, it does not cannibalize user time from its already existing extremely profitable apps, Instagram and Facebook. We saw that in the case of Disney, how its new Disney Plus streaming system is cannibalizing revenues from its cable business. We don't want the same thing to happen here. Personally, this is a concern for many, but I do think that at least a large proportion of Threads users will be coming from Twitter. And the app has a pretty different purpose to Facebook and Instagram because you can actually interact with public figures, not just your friends, and it's more of a text-based app rather than Instagram's photo-based app. What do I think of the threat of legal action by Twitter against Meta, alleging that Twitter used trade secrets and broke the rules in order to basically clone its app? Well, I do think it's quite interesting that the moment Threads was released, Zuckerberg posted a tweet for the first time in years of this picture. If you weren't aware, this is a meme of Spider-Man basically pointing at alternate Spider-Men from different parallel universes. Basically, they all look the same. And it's almost a tacit admission from Zuckerberg that his Threads app is exactly the same as Twitter. So I think it'll be really interesting if that posting of a meme actually gets used in the court case that may come in the future. Now, what do I think of the allegations themselves? Basically, what Twitter is saying is that Meta hired various different ex-Twitter employees. Remember, they got rid of 80% of their workforce, so there's a lot of people to choose from. And those team members retained confidential Twitter documents and other trade secrets that they weren't meant to still have access to. They used that alongside their knowledge to create the Threads app in a record amount of time. Now, Meta has denied that, saying that no one on the Threads team is a former Twitter employee. But I do wonder why Twitter would make this accusation unless there was at least some level of truth to it. It hasn't gone to court yet, it's just a threatening letter at this point. And if there is any truth to it, I'm sure that Twitter will take Meta to court. Now, in terms of Meta as a stock, it's been on such an insane rally this year to date, that I have considered taking at least some gains, maybe selling $2,000 or $3,000 worth of the stock. But I did think about it, and ultimately I decided not to, because although the company is optically expensive, sitting at above 35, trailing 12 months PE or price to earnings, the forward price to earnings is still less than 15, and I do think that the estimates are actually realistic on that, with last year having been so badly skewed by declining ad revenue numbers in 2022. You can see the same thing for Google as well. As I said, the company is expanding its free cash flow back from the lows of 2022. We can see that upward trend, and it still has an ample amount of cash to spend on share buybacks. It's still got $37 billion in cash and is buying back its shares at a rate of around over 4% per year. Overall, I'm pretty positive on it, especially with it still innovating and creating apps that can generate so many users in such a short amount of time. Last of all, I just wanted to quickly touch on Alibaba. On Friday, the stock was up by nearly 9% as the Chinese government confirmed that it would be fining Ant Group, an Alibaba affiliate. It owns around 33% of the company, about $1 billion. And investors effectively think that this will draw a line on the entire Chinese tech sector crackdown, and it's made them quite bullish on Chinese tech stocks in general. I tend to agree with this hypothesis. I do think that China just wanted to send a warning and a message to some of the billionaires and companies that thought that they could potentially challenge the CCP's power in the country. But now, more importantly, it needs to get the country's economy back on track after it is not growing as much as what was hoped or expected for after lockdowns were lifted. And without the tech sector on board, it's going to be very difficult to do this. So I think that in the future, we may see some good gains for Chinese tech stocks. I don't personally plan to increase my holding in Alibaba yet, at least, as I have a pretty significant exposure already. The other piece of information that caused Alibaba's share price to spike up so much on Friday was the unveiling of its AI image generation model. Now, there is a lot of hype in the AI world that has been pushing companies' stock prices up needlessly, but I do think that image generation is a business model that can succeed. Now, Adobe has a image generation model that is very popular, and if Alibaba can provide a lower cost alternative to them, I could see it doing really well, especially if it has Chinese language support, which this does. So Alibaba is definitely a company I'll be paying attention to in the upcoming earnings season, and I think it will be quite interesting to see how the AI does. Meta, overall, as a conclusion, what I would say is I'm still unsure as to whether Threads will be a long-term success. I do think that people prefer to be on a platform with opposing views and a variety of views so that they can argue with people. And in addition to that, Meta's linkage of Threads to your Instagram account, I just feel like it will discourage people from wanting to debate and reveal their political opinions compared to the relative anonymity of Twitter. But I do think that it's a move in the right direction. Meta is good at social media, and I think it should focus on that over its VR adventures. So I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did find any use from it, please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.